So today's reading comes from a 1997 issue of Windows NT Australia magazine. I'll be reading from the editor's comment section. So this is by Dan Kaufman. The title is Why Luke Lost the Fight. If you had walked into any graphic design studio a month ago and asked the inhabitants what they thought of Microsoft, they'd probably have started laughing and hurling abuse at it. The evil empire, they'd yell, "Bloody Windows." It's such a funny way to start out an article. Yet now it's a different story. Like the Messiah come to save the flock, Steve Jobs himself appeared at Apple's helm, even though he refuses to be CEO, and announced that Apple has a bright future which happens to be financed by Microsoft. Yes, that's right. Apple and Microsoft are now officially friends. While it's generally been known in the industry that the hatred and competition between the two existed more on the consumer level than the management one, now that Microsoft has invested $150 million in non-voting Apple stock, it's become blatantly clear to the punters. And to the stock market dealers. Since the announcement, Apple's share price has rocketed by more than 35%. Whether or not that will stay there is another point entirely. Yet the deal of the century doesn't end there. In addition to the hot cash injection, Microsoft also promised to develop and ship future versions of its Office suite for the Macintosh platform, as well as bundle Internet Explorer with the Mac OS, making it the default browser in future releases. That is crazy to think about using IE on Mac OS. Kaufman says also in the pipeline is for the two companies to collaborate on the Java virtual machine for both platforms, so they'll remain compatible with each other. Excuse me, but I thought compatibility was the whole point of Java anyways. What's in it for Microsoft, I hear you cry? What has this got to do with Windows NT? Well, for one thing, it makes sound financial sense. After all, it's in the Macintosh market that Microsoft generates $400 million a year from software sales, which more than makes up for this investment. Secondly, it's generally believed that it will settle the ongoing lawsuits from Apple against Microsoft for patent infringements, which dates back to when Apple alleged that Windows copied Apple's interface design. This will save Microsoft time and money. Thirdly, it's been postured by industry punters that Microsoft needs Apple to protect it against the US government's anti-monopoly stance, which doesn't take too kindly to having entire industries controlled by one empire. So I wonder if it's okay if entire industries are controlled by two empires. If Apple remains alive, then at least there will be a perception that it's a well-rounded market. Last but not least, it gives Microsoft another ally, and more importantly, makes Microsoft software, most notably Internet Explorer, more ubiquitous. Despite the fact that there are still more copies of Navigator floating in the ether than Explorer, you could easily stay in the Netscape. Say the Netscape has now all but lost the browser war. Okay, so you can't stay in the Netscape. Yet while it's easy to see why Microsoft opted to be Apple's savior in the short term, you have to wonder about the long-term effects. The reason is simple. Rhapsody, the next version of the Mac OS, is going to be a competitor to Windows NT in the very area where Microsoft is pushing NT next, namely in the publishing market. As previously mentioned in this magazine, Windows NT is rapidly expanding from being a network environment for businesses into a powerful graphics-capable platform. The next version of Windows NT, namely 5.0, promises to support several monitors at the same time, allowing it to be used for animation work, while companies are starting to get their act together in terms of providing adequate printer and graphics drivers. Furthermore, Quark and Adobe, who are two of the strongest players in the publishing market, are moving their products to NT, indicating that it's where the market is headed. However, there could be a strategic rationale behind Microsoft's fit of generosity, for if the Macintosh starts to perform more like a Windows PC, then it may act as a Trojan horse that will lead existing Mac users into the Windows fold. Furthermore, Rhapsody, which as it stands will already allow developers to create applications for the NT environment, will no doubt evolve in such a way as to work better with Windows NT, meaning that soon NT could be used as the server base for Macintoshes. Is making the Macintosh more like an NT box Microsoft's plan? Will Windows NT be ported back onto the PowerPC platform? Stay tuned for more conspiracy theories. Well, interesting historical perspective on business here.